Ecclesiastes chapter 6. If you'll turn there in your copy of the scriptures with me this morning, Ecclesiastes chapter number 6. And I want to thank everyone who came out and helped yesterday in our work day and got a lot done in just a few hours' time. And we got some work on the ramp done. We're not at the point where we're replacing the top parts yet that we've talked about as far as our prayer for this year, but just replace some needed parts underneath to just shore up the ramp and the stability of it. And it is, if you walked up it this morning, I hope you felt that, or I hope you could tell, or you likely could tell it seemed maybe a little bit stronger and more secure, and so you guys did a great job with that. So thank you for that, and then some cleaning, spring cleaning around the property, and getting rid of debris, and some raking, and yard work was done as well, and then some work in here. Last Wednesday, Sam and I we set out on the adventure of finishing the ceiling, painting and everything, and we primed it. And about 8:30, we both got into like that state of silliness when you've worked all day and you're tired and you've been breathing, paint fumes. And I think Sam giggled a little bit that night. And but we were like, okay, if we go to paint now, we're going to be here till like 2 a.m. So we got the primer up, but a good visual for just the white, and We'll put the coat of paint up this Wednesday, Lord willing, so pray for that. But so a lot of work has been done and just continuing to be done, so thank you for all of your participation and your help in that. Let me just share a couple prayer requests real quick, and then we'll get into the Word this morning. Pray for John's family. They are preparing for his mother's passing likely today. That's what they believe will happen. And so be praying for them. They're all together and today, and just preparing their hearts and minds for that. So keep them in your prayer today. And then pray for Lisa. She had a fall on Friday and has just been in a lot of pain. And she was awaiting a doctor's appointment anyways for getting an appointment scheduled for a surgery that she needs on her back, and pray that this fall doesn't affect that or push it back or anything like that, but pray for her recovery. She's been in a lot of pain the last few days and still today from that, her neck and shoulders and her back, so be praying for her on that, and Bob as well. He's with us, and pray for him as he cares for her and helps her with that, but we miss Lisa when she's not able to be with us, so keep her in prayer. Ecclesiastes chapter number 6, and we'll get into this next chapter. Let's read it together. Ecclesiastes 6, verse number 1. There is an evil which I have seen under the sun, and it is common among men. A man to whom God hath given riches, wealth, and honor, so that he wanteth nothing for his soul of all that he desireth. Yet God giveth him not power to eat thereof, but a stranger eateth it. This is vanity, and it is an evil disease. If a man beget 100 children, and live many years, so that the days of his life, or the days of his years be many, and his soul be not filled with good, and also that he have no burial, I say that an untimely birth is better than he. For he cometh in with vanity, and departeth in darkness, and his name shall be covered with darkness. Moreover, he hath not seen the sun, nor known anything. This hath more rest than the other. Yea, though he live 1,000 years, twice told, yet hath he seen no good. Do not all go to one place? All the labor of man is for his mouth, and yet the appetite is not filled. For what hath the wise more than the fool? What hath the poor that knoweth to walk before the living? Better is the sight of the eyes than the wandering of the desire. This is also vanity and vexation of spirit. That which hath been is named already, and it is known that it is man. Neither may he contend with him that is mightier than he. Seeing there be many things that increase vanity, what is man the better? For who knoweth what is good for man in this life? all the days of his vain life, which he spendeth as a shadow. For who can tell a man what shall be after him under the sun? Have you ever desired and craved a certain kind of food? Now, if you're a lady and you've been pregnant before, the answer is yes. We all know. But even in general, has there been a time that you have a certain craving and desire for something and you have to go looking for where you can find it? And you search it and you look for it, and maybe you're looking on Yelp to try to find the best recommended restaurants. You're looking on Google. You're looking on all these places, and you're even willing to drive a distance. And you're so craving, you have such an appetite for this food, whatever it is, and you get there and you find it and you order it and you take a bite and you're like, this is going to be so satisfying, and yet it isn't. And you're like, man, this is not what I was thinking. Why is this not that good? Or as good as my mind was building it up to be. Or maybe you live in a different area than where you grew up, and you're back in your hometown area, and you're like, oh, I remember that restaurant or that place we used to go and get food that I loved. It was my favorite. Those were the best. I'm going to go there and get that for, go back on memory lane, and you go and you eat it, and you're like, this is not good. Why did I like this when I was a kid? And you're left unsatisfied. Your taste, your craving is not satisfied. That's exactly what is being talked about in this chapter. And so we've titled this message today, Unsatisfied Desire. And that is our big idea is the things that we crave and desire will leave us unsatisfied. And it comes from verse number 7, right there in the middle. It's kind of that the peak middle verse for the theme of the chapter. All the labor of man is for his mouth, and that is referring to appetite. An appetite, something that you're craving and desiring. He's saying we work and we work and we work. We go and go and go. We work hard. People are hard workers. We work long. We work hard, and we put our effort into it. And yet, he says, we're after the willingness of all the labor, intense and hard work that we're willing to give for the satisfaction of the desire that we have, yet the appetite is not filled. In this passage, and as we go through and already have gone through and continue to go through Ecclesiastes, it might seem like there's like it's repetitive. The statements, the verses, the words, the themes, the messages, and the principles seem repetitive. And that's a common theme throughout Scripture. There are many things that God in His sovereignty and in His inspiration to the writers, like Solomon didn't just get amnesia and not realize he didn't already say this. This was God breathed, just like the other chapters. And even if it's repetitious, then if it is repetitious, then that just means it's a point that God is really trying to get across to us. And sometimes we can hear something, and okay, yeah, I get it. Okay, all right. These things don't really give satisfaction. Okay, all right, yeah. And then we go about our week, and maybe we don't really actually take it in and absorb it and change our mindset from it. And now God is repeating this to us in a stronger way of saying, look, you're working hard, you're giving your life's work and labor and effort to the pursuit of something that you think will satisfy you, and in the end, your appetite is not going to be fulfilled. Verse 1, he says that there is an evil which I have seen under the sun, and it's common among men. So we take this as an example from Solomon, who did this himself. He's a living example of this. And he might even be the example in this passage as we work through it. But he's saying it's not only one man, this is common amongst all men. This is how people commonly live. There are common appetites that man desires, and we'll labor for them, we will work for them, and we'll go after them. But in the end, Solomon says, I realized, looking back, and I've seen it amongst everyone, so many others, as a common theme, that as they looked back, they were not satisfied. At the very beginning of Ecclesiastes, I shared that the perspective of this is putting ourselves in the end and looking back. And so when we look back on our lives, will we feel that my life, okay, the things that I pursued did bring true satisfaction? Solomon is saying, most commonly, we live and pursue after appetites, cravings, and desires that really won't bring that true satisfaction. There's a few common things that he shares in this passage, and there's a reason why. Because it might seem paradoxical in a couple different ways. Let's work through it. There's three things I want to share with you as far as paradoxical things that our flesh and the earth wants to tell us that are things that will satisfy our cravings and our desires for fulfillment and happiness in life. Number one, the paradoxical statement is this, that we will realize that our life, we have an inability to enjoy our gain. And I use the word gain because whether it's in verse 2, he uses the phrase riches, wealth, and honor. Because I don't want us to think, oh, well, I'm not rich, so this doesn't apply to me. But it's the pursuit of more. The idea is the pursuit of gain. That if I get more of this, or if I get more of that, whatever appeals to you, whatever is the thing that you're living after. More money, a better job, a better relationship, a better car, whatever it is. Oh, if I just get that, or if I get more of this, if I get more wealth, or if I get more honor, he even says. Man innately lives to be recognized and honored by others. We seek these things, he's saying, but yet we have an inability to even enjoy that which we do gain. And look what it says in verse 2. He has seen this man to whom God hath given riches, wealth, and honor. So the paradox starts with God giving this to him, and we've seen that throughout this book, that our view of the things that we have should be that they are gifts from God. But it says that so that he wanted nothing for his soul of all that he desired, yet God giveth him not power to eat thereof. That's the statement of he doesn't have the power to enjoy the things that he gave to this person. But a stranger eateth it. So not only did this person not even enjoy the wealth and the gain that he had, not only did children whom he passed it down and left it in inheritance, nor other family members, cousins, nephews, nieces, second cousins. No, a stranger. And this parallels back to the last chapter where we talked about our view, a proper view of money, in that money, our wealth, our gain, whatever it is, just as much as we can get it, we can lose it. And it could be through a bad investment. It could be through a bad business deal. It could be through God just taking it away. It could be for different reasons. It could be through poor stewardship or whatever it might be. Just as much as we can gain something, we can lose it. And God is the giver of the enjoyment of that which he gives us. God is the one who has the power to control that. God gives us the enjoyment of that which we gain. And that's why he's saying it is vanity, or it is a fleeting thing. It's almost an impossible thing to seek after the gain of riches, wealth, and honor to be something that will satisfy fulfillment that I am looking for in my life. Something that will bring me real happiness and bring me to a better place. We talked about last Sunday that money or just the idea of more, of whatever it might be, more is not always or is not the answer to all of our problems. But yet we labor and we work and we seek and we put our time and effort for more and more. And again, we're not talking about like basic needs, but the pursuit of just gaining more and more of whatever it is that we're after. And so what is it for you? What is it for you that you long for and that you desire and crave, that you just dream of, or you think that if you get more of, it will help you? In their society, yeah, wealth was a big thing. Honor was a big thing, to have honor and respect to your name. And he touches on, the vanity of seeking to leave a legacy even after your death earlier in this book. These are not things in the earthly life that bring true satisfaction to our appetites. This is a person who had it all. In the last chapter, another paradox is that in the last chapter, or previously, maybe it was in chapter 4, he talked about a man who had everything, but he didn't even have a son to give it to or share it with. In this chapter, it's just talking about a man who has everything, but yet nobody, him or family, enjoys it, has the ability to enjoy the things that he gains, all that he gains, but rather a stranger does. Possessions of this earth are temporary, and if we are putting our effort, our labor into getting more of this earth, of these earthly things, to find fulfillment, to bring satisfaction, to make us think that they'll answer they'll solve our problems and they'll give us a better life, then what we're doing is we're putting all of our eggs in the basket of something that is foundationless. It is, there's no ability to truly enjoy these things in an eternal and an everlasting perspective. And I will say, sure, there are things in this earth that we can have, and God does bless us and give us many things, and we can enjoy them, and there's a way to do that in which we do that, and I'll share that in a moment. But in the scope of eternity, these are things that are temporal, and everything that is temporal and of this earth is fleeting. It is breaking down. It will fail. It will crack. It will bust. It will break. It will not last. And if our identity of happiness, our source of joy and fulfillment is in things that are temporary, then our joy is temporary, and it will as well break down. It's a broken system. But this is common. The pursuit of pleasure or satisfaction through much gain, but yet the paradox is that really there's an inability to enjoy gain. Secondly, he talks about surface relationships, another paradox, where in relationships, we pursue relationships as something that will give us great joy and satisfaction. And the same thing, there is joy, but in a right way. But yet he says, if this is our pursuit, that, okay, if I find this relationship, or if I have a better relationship here, okay, that's the answer to all my problems, I'll be happy. But he says in verse 3, if a man beget 100 children and live many years, so that the days of his years be many, and his soul be not filled with good, and also that he have no burial, I say that an untimely birth is better than he. Now, a matter of honor and respect and, something, privileged, that was a symbol of blessing and divine prosperity, was a lot of children in the Bible times, right? That was a big thing. Now, he goes to the extreme of 100. He gives the example of 100 children. Like, I'm reading this, I'm like, whoa, Solomon, slow down. Like, that's crazy talk. I mean, I love kids and my kids, and I'm not saying if God gave us more, I wouldn't want them, but like, Even in an earthly sense, I'm pretty satisfied with 2 kids. I don't know I could handle 100 kids. I mean, it's a bit of an exaggeration, but the point is being made because having a lot of kids in a big family was something that was looked very highly upon in these times. I'll be honest, even in today's day and age, I mean, we have 2 kids, and we've heard throughout our lives, like, from other people that have more kids, like, oh, you only have 2 kids? Like what, are we, like, not as good as other people? Like, I don't know, God's the one who didn't give us more kids. I mean, it's not our fault, Even in society, if you only have 1 or 2 kids, and, but we're going to the extreme of 100. I couldn't even imagine. And it's a bit of an exaggeration to draw the point. However, interestingly, there are a couple of people in the Bible that had pretty close to 100 children. It says in 2 Kings chapter 10, verse 1, that Ahab had 70 sons. Like, Ahab, what are you doing? Rehoboam, and again, probably the pursuit of honor. Rehoboam, in 2 Chronicles 11, 88 children. How many of you are like, yeah, I'm pursuing that for my life's goal? Like, bring them on. I don't even know where to start with that. That's like, but the idea with a large family with many kids to carry on your name. And also, in with this is longevity of life. And he says there in verse 3, and live many years. That was something that, on earth, if somebody lived a long life, they were thought to have been well blessed and prosperous by God for giving them a long life. Now, in the Bible times, they did live much longer. I mean, hundreds of years, close to 1,000 years in some cases, if not more. They lived for much longer than we do today. And there's nothing wrong with, if your desire is to have 100 kids, there's nothing wrong if your desire is to have a lot of children and live long life. But he's saying in the end, it is not, like, that's going to come to an end as well, and it's not what's going to give true satisfaction to your appetite. That appetite will be left, that desire will be left unsatisfied. It is not what brings fulfillment. So much so that he says almost that it's better for an untimely birth at the end of verse 3, and that's talking like, that's a reference to like a stillbirth. Go from the opposite extreme of, for them, the great joy it'd be to have 100 kids, to the great sorrow it is in the passing of a baby in the womb, and even beyond that, to have the baby stillborn. In their days, like, that would have been very common, and that is a sorrowful thing. But what he's saying is it's better for that baby to not experience the pain and sorrow of living after the pursuit of honor and recognition and satisfaction through even earthly relationships and longevity of life and through gain and wealth, and not find that satisfaction. It's better that they don't even see it at all. Verse 4, for he cometh in with vanity and departeth in darkness, his name shall be covered with darkness. He just, that baby doesn't even see any of that. In other words, if these are the things we're living for in our life, in the end of our life, we will be left unsatisfied. There's another one that he talks about, and I phrase it as shaken social status, because, again, it's something that we might think would give us some pleasure and satisfaction in life, that my standing in society or my image amongst other people is good, that they have this certain image about me. And how does he do this? Well, in verse number 8, he says, For what hath the wise more than the fool? What hath the poor that knoweth to walk before the living? So I group these in like social standings because of this. One is the comparison of the wise versus the fool. And obviously, this is coming from the same man who writes about wisdom in Proverbs. So he's not saying that wisdom is pointless, but if your only pursuit in life is just to be known as someone who was wise, and you just want people to see you and think like, oh, I want to gain wisdom so that, I have this social standing, I have this image amongst others that, oh, that's a wise person. That in and of itself doesn't bring joy. He says, in the end, what is the difference between the wise and the fool? He later says, hey, they all go to the same place, right? We all die, and even the one that if you have some kind of image amongst others that you're this great, wise person, well, what does it do? In the end, you're still going to stand before God, and He is wiser than all. He's not saying don't worry about wisdom, because the context of Proverbs is very applicable, but what He is saying is to have that as a pursuit of life, to appease, to satisfy a craving for fulfillment and happiness in life, that in and of itself will not do it. The second one there is proper etiquette. He says, or the fool, even if you're, or the poor, even if you're poor, but you know how to walk before the living. That's a reference to knowing how to present yourself in social gatherings or amongst and around other people. Today's day and age isn't as much of a thing where there's proper etiquette to be followed, or at least that is followed. I mean, pretty much everybody everywhere just lives in pajamas and just does what they want wherever they are. But there was a day and age, and especially in this time, where there was proper etiquette to be followed with being out and about, out in society, out in community, out in places. There is a certain etiquette to have when you're in a restaurant. There's a certain way to behave yourself. We taught our kids that from the early stages of how to behave yourself at a dinner table, at a restaurant. But even furthermore, there are certain social standards of how to present and behave yourself. There's the extremes of certain people and different types of cultures and societies throughout the years, to the extremes of the wealthy and their table settings and how you present your table and, the right number of forks at the right position, and, there's all of those kinds of things, but also the way to carry yourself, the way to talk, the way to, be proper amongst others. He's saying, even if you've got a good image amongst people in society around you, if that is your sole pursuit, that social status or your satisfaction through social standings will be shaken, because it's not a true foundation. If your search and your seeking is through relationships to fulfill your desires of satisfaction, well, it's a weak surface. And if your pursuit for the fulfillment of happiness is through the enjoyment of gain, well, you won't be able to. So, in verse number 11, verses 11 and 12, it says, seeing there be many things that increase vanity, what is man the better? He's saying, okay, so there's obviously all these things that are vanity. In other words, they're fleeting. We can try to grab them and hold on to them for satisfaction, but they go away, they vanish away. It's like basically the question that many people ask even today, what's the point of it all? What's the meaning of it all? What are we better for? Then why have any of these things? Because it's still good to behave yourself properly around others. It's still good to have wisdom. It's still good to have good and healthy and relationships. And it's still good and to have gain, right? But if they don't bring satisfaction, what is the point? What is the meaning? What's it all for? Why what is man the better for it? Verse 12, for who knoweth what is good for man in this life, all the days of his vain life, which he spendeth as a shadow. And that's kind of the key right there, is that when our focus is on this life, it is a vain life. In other words, it's fleeting. It's like a shadow, he says. We put so much effort and mindset, labor into this life that is fleeting and temporary, and it'll all be gone. In other words, we live with an earthly mindset rather than a heavenly mindset. We live with an earthly mindset rather than an eternal mindset. This question in these questions in verses 11 and 12 are a bit rhetorical because he already answered them in verse number 2 and previously in verse number 5. If you go back to verse number 2 here in chapter 6, he says that he sees this man to whom God hath given riches, wealth, and honor, so that he wanted nothing for his soul. See, this is the one who pursues social standings, relationships, gain, wealth, power, honor, all of those things, so much so that he or she has no mind for God at all. These things become our gods. These become our pursuits. God might be a Sunday thing. God might be in his box over here, but we don't have a foundation of a relationship with God. We don't desire eternal things. We don't crave God and a growth in our relationship with God, a passionate and a true and a deep relationship with God, the way that we crave and desire social standings and our image amongst others, that everyone thinks that we're good and we're perfect and we're proper and we're wise. We don't pursue a relationship with God and think that a better relationship with God is the answer to things. We think relationships that improve on this earth are the answers to everything, or not more of God is the answer to everything, but more of wealth or honor on this earth is the answer to everything. Our minds are actually upside down in this equation. That we are so mindful, we are so concerned about riches, wealth, and honor, relate all these things, that we don't really have a mind for God. And he is saying that is what makes it all empty. So you can have everything you want. You can have 100 kids. You can have a marriage. You can have relationships. You can have best friends. You can have good standing in society, but it will not do anything for you if your foundation in your life is not God, because all of those are weak foundations. God is the only sure foundation. He is the only one that is unshakable, that is not surface but has depth. He is the one that has true power to give you enjoyment in life. And in chapter 5, we talked about last few weeks, a couple weeks, that it's based on our view of God. Do we fear God? If we really viewed God as our as like what we sang this morning, that we rejoice because he is our king. If he is the king of our life, then he will be the pursuit of our life. He will be the desire that we crave and that we seek after. God said through Jesus in the New Testament to seek after him first, and he'll take care of the rest. It's like the example that Jesus also gave of two men that built houses, and one built their house upon the foundation of a rock, and the other built their house upon the foundation of what? Sand. And if you grew up in Sunday school, you're probably singing the song right now in your mind, aren't you? And the rains came down and the floods came up. And what happens? The best part of the song, and the house on the sand went splat, right? That's every kid's favorite part of the song. When our lives are not built on God, they will crumble. They will fall. Why? Because if they're built on things of this earth, if they're built after things of this earth, those things are sand. They are faulty. They are like cracks in a foundation. They will not last. And therefore, any temporary joy that you have within them is also not going to last. But when your foundation is God, and He is the number one pursuit of your life, and He is the foundation of all the blessings and gifts that you have in your life, when He is the foundation of the relationships with your life, when He is the foundation of your standing with others in society, it doesn't matter if the world comes crumbling down, God will not be moved. And that is why Solomon teaches us that God is the true giver of joy. That is why he says that God did not give this person the power to enjoy all the gain that he had. God gives us blessings. He gives us gifts. He gives us things to enjoy. He allows us to have nice things. And He allows us to have plenteous and abundance of things. There is nothing wrong with that except for when that becomes our pursuit and we pursue more of those things thinking that that's going to make me happier, and we pursue those things. We desire more of those things of this earthly life rather than more of God. And if God is the true giver of joy, then God is the true and only source of peace. He is the source of peace. That no matter when I have loss, even if I feel like, well, I'm not rich and I don't have much gain, I don't have much profit, wealth, or anything, well, it won't end up mattering. Why? Because you'll have peace and you'll be satisfied because your joy is in God, not in those things in the first place. You see how that works? And if your joy is in those things, and when they go away, when they're lost, when they're stolen, or God takes them away, then you lose joy. Then you lose the enjoyment of the life that God has given you. Then you don't worry about comparing yourself to what is wealth. Well, I have this much, but those people over there, they have way more than me. I've got to keep up with them. I've got to get more than them. I've got to get better than them. You become satisfied with what you have, and that is a theme that we have seen over and over, is to be satisfied with the portion that God has given you. But you'll only be so if God is the foundation of your life. This life is difficult. It's hard at times, but it's harder, and it's more difficult, and it's more sorrowful, and there's more struggle if God is not the foundation, because when God is the foundation, He is building our lives up from Him rather than us trying to build up our lives from temporal, earthly things that will not last. Build your life on Him. Let's bow our heads and close our eyes for just a moment and consider in your life, is there something, are there things that you are craving and desiring that is really what your heart and your life is just, you might be working hard, you might be trying hard, but is it for other things other than God? Let me encourage you to respond at least in these couple ways. Make God the foundation of your life. And I talk about this over and over, but this is why, as we've seen in this passage, but develop and grow your relationship with God. And then He will help you with contentment and satisfaction with your portion in life. He'll help you. He'll give that. You will have that because even if you have no money, you have God. Even if you have no social standing, you have God. Even if you don't have relationships that you would like to have, you have God. And God fulfills every area of longing and desire that we have in our lives. Make God the foundation of your life. Develop and grow your relationship with God. Work at that. Put the labor and work into your relationship with God like you do everything else that you work hard at. Don't look back in your life realizing that, man, I am unsatisfied because all these things I thought I would have, all these things that I tried to get to try to bring me satisfaction didn't end up doing it. Take it from Solomon's advice. Pursue God. O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Can you say this? That he is the greatest treasure of my longing soul? Or is it something or someone else? My God, like you there is no other. True delight is found in you alone. Father, thank you so much for the reminder this morning from your word, these words from Solomon, who wants us to get this point that to not live life without a big view and a growing view and fear of God, without growing a foundation in our lives that is God. May we seek you, not things. May we seek you, not earthly things. May our minds and hearts be the pursuit of eternal and heavenly things, not earthly. And therein we'll be able to better be satisfied with all the gifts that you bless us with. And we thank you for those. But Lord, may we desire you. So I pray that you'd help us with that. We thank you for your word and how it helps us. Instill it into our hearts. Help us to apply it and respond to it and take it with us as we go today. In your name, we do pray. Amen. Well, thank you so much for being here today. And we'll wrap up here in just a moment. Let me give you a couple final announcements, and then we will go. Don't forget, next Sunday is Renew Sunday. And I'm looking forward to this so much. I hope you are as well. And don't miss it. We'll have a little bit of we try to keep it somewhat close to our regular time frame, but we will have an extra session, so it'll be a little bit longer. So don't let that keep you away. Come in. We have a guest speaker from North Carolina coming who is a retired pastor of many years, and who the Lord uses to travel and preach to encourage and help churches all over the country now. And he has been praying, and he's excited about meeting our church, all of you, and I'm excited as well. And I know that you'll be encouraged and blessed, and the things that he was sharing with me that is on his heart to preach, I know will be a great blessing. So we will start next Sunday at 10 a.m. instead of 10:30. Just to bump it up a half hour to help with the schedule. We'll have our first main service at 10 a.m., and then just like our normal 10:30 worship service, and then we'll have a second session at 11:15-ish, give or take a few maybe, but we'll shoot for right around 11:15, in other words, and that'll be kind of like our growth class time, just like we have the two sessions there. And then we'll have a Q&A following at the end, just like we normally do with guest speakers. So be here for that, and you'll be able to get to know him, and he'll want to talk with you and want you to talk with him. A very down-to-earth, friendly, pastor who just has a lot of grace and love and just zeal and excitement for God. And I'm excited for him to be here and to minister to us and influence us. So be here for that, all right? Renew Sunday, next Sunday. Don't miss that. Don't miss that. We will have midweek this Wednesday. So if you can join us for Bible study this Wednesday, we'll be here at 7 o'clock. And thank you for all the baby bottles. We're going to send those off to Sam. And we had all of the ones that we brought in were filled up. And so thank you so much for that. And we are so glad to be able to partner with First Concern Pregnancy Resource Center and make this donation to them. So thank you for that. Today is, unless if you want to come back to Renew Sunday next week, should we get her one last? Well, today is Alicia's last Sunday with us. She's moving down to South Carolina, and Lord is moving her down there. And so I think that which is his doing, and a good situation there with her family and such. But regardless, this is her last Sunday, so we wanted to send you off and say farewell. We have a cake in the back, so some goodies, and just kind of share some time. And so we will have classes in a little bit, but we'll take some time and just fellowship a little bit, say goodbye to Alicia, and we'll send her off with love and prayer. So I'm going to pray for you now, but don't forget, also pray for Lisa and be praying for the bakers, all right? Let's do that right now. Stand with me if you can, and we'll pray together, and then we'll spend some time in fellowship. And then as that's wrapping up, we'll have our classes. All right. Thank you for being here today, and appreciate and love all of you. Thank you for being a part of this church. Let's pray. Father, we love you.